Bonjour, voici vidéo 14b, le subjonctif avec les conjonctions. If you turn to page 213 in your textbook, we will be doing the troisième partie du subjonctif, and this is where we are going to learn that we need the subjunctive following certain conjunctions. So let's go through the list of conjunctions that will take the subjunctive, starting with à condition que. Some of these have more than one conjunction that pretty much mean the same thing. So for provided that, we have à condition que, pourvu que. Both of those mean provided that. Afin que and pour que mean so that or in order that. Then we have bien que and quoique, which is although or even though. Turning la page. À moins que is unless. Sans que, without. Avant que, before. Jusqu'à ce que, until. When you have a complex sentence using these conjunctions, the verb that follows the conjunction will be in the subjunctive tense. But if you look at that last little paragraph, keep in mind that not all conjunctions require the subjunctive. If you think back to the chapter that we did on the future, you were given several conjunctions and they did not use the subjunctive. We used the future when we were talking about them, but you could use other tenses as well, just not the subjunctive. And those conjunctions were quand, dès que, aussitôt que, lorsque, pendant que, and parce que. Does that ring a bell? I don't remember exactly what chapter that was, but look back if you need to review those. These are the conjunctions that do not require the subjunctive. Most of the rest of the other conjunctions in French do require the subjunctive, and there are a lot more than what they have given you here in the book, of course. So memorize these in the book as conjunctions that take the subjunctive, the ones above where we were just talking. Memorize the ones that do not need to take the subjunctive that they have given you so far in the book, and you should be pretty well set for the test. Let's look at exercice C. À la page 214, quel est le rôle d'un missionnaire? What is the role of a missionary? I'm going to fill in each blank with the appropriate conjunction using the English words in the parentheses as clues. Numéro 1. Nous soutenons le missionnaire financièrement in order that il puisse annoncer l'évangile de Christ. So we support him financially in order that he can announce or preach the gospel. So for in order that, we have two choices, afin que or pour que, right? Numéro 2. Le missionnaire ne quitte pas son pays without nous promettions de prier pour lui. The missionary doesn't leave his country without us promising to pray for him. So without would be sans. Sans is without, and que makes it a conjunction. Numéro 3. Although ses enfants sont soit très jeunes, le missionnaire n'hésite pas à suivre la volonté de Dieu. Although his children are very young, the missionary doesn't hesitate to follow the will of God. So for although, you have a couple of choices. You have bien que, and then you also have quoique. Okay. Numéro 4. Le missionnaire entre dans le village provided le chef lui en donne la permission. He enters the village provided that the chief or the ruler or leader gives him the permission to do so. So provided that, we have a couple of choices for that one as well. À condition que, and then our other choice, hopefully you have it by now, pourvu que, and that is provided that. Numéro 5. Le missionnaire donne beaucoup d'études bibliques et prie constamment before il y ait un seul converti. So he has a lot of Bible studies. He studies the Bible quite a bit, and he prays constantly. And for before, we need avant que. Avant is before. We're just simply making it into a conjunction, just like we did with sans. Sans que. So avant que is before. There is a single conversion. Numéro 6. Mais il continue à prêcher l'évangile in order that d'autres soient sauvés. But he continues to preach the gospel in order that others can be saved, or would be saved. In English, we would use either of those tenses since we don't really have a subjunctive tense. So we want in order that. And again, we have a couple of choices when we use in order that. You got them? Yes, it would be exactly these up here. I'm not going to write them again because I'm running out of room. Afin que and pour que would be for number 6 as well, because in order that has 2 different ones you can use. Let's go with number 7. Il restera dans ce pays until son œuvre soit finie. He will stay in this country until his work is done. So for until we have, you got it? Jusqu'à ce que. That's a long one, but fun to say. Jusque. Let me make sure I'm spelling it right. Sorry. Jusqu'à. That's an apostrophe, not an L. Jusqu'à ce que. Jusqu'à ce que. Okay, don't forget the accent on the A. I listed. And numéro 7, we already did that one. Numéro 8. Les missionnaires restent souvent pendant plusieurs années dans le pays unless ils ne soient obligés de partir par la force des choses. And they gave you the que on that one already, but that's okay. We know it's going to need a que if we have the subjunctive. So the missionaries stay often for many years in the country unless they are obliged or must leave by the force of events, or literally things, but meaning the force of events or problems in the country. So for unless, we want à moins que. And we see less, moins, in à moins que. Okay, just one little grammar note. If you noticed in the last part of that phrase that you have a ne, but you don't have a pas, that is just a little tricky thing that they do with the subjunctive. And it's basically a ne that has no meaning. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but you can just ignore it. It's left over from grammatical reasons. I can't even tell you all the reasons that it's left there, but that is not a typo in your book. That ne is there. It's called a ne pléonastique, pleonastic ne, and it's basically a leftover ne. It's like an appendix or something, you know, you don't necessarily need it, but it has to be there for the grammatical function here. And it does not translate as a negative, okay? So just kind of ignore it, don't worry about it too much. If you decide to study French in college, you can learn all about the whys and wherefores of the ne pléonastique. Otherwise, don't worry about it too much. You'll do fine without all those details. All right, that concludes this segment. Au revoir.